I found out that before we met my boyfriend has slept with several paid women, sex workers. I am afraid of what this says about his attitude to women. We started dating 5 months ago. He says he's ready to start a family in couple of years. Is this something I can leave, as it is in his past? Or if he's done it once he'll do it again? Retired stripper here. I know they're not exactly the same, but I'll give my 2 cents anyway. My ex was not about my past at all. It was one of the many things that made him my ex in the end. Current man couldn't care less. He loves me as I am and takes all of me in stride. There is nothing wrong with either view. My ex isn't a bad person because he didn't like my past. I respected that he told me it was something he wasn't comfortable with. If it's not for you, it's not for you. That said, just because he's slept with sex workers doesn't mean he'll cheat on you. It also doesn't say anything bad about him as a person or his view on women. If he's ready to settle down with the right person, take him at his word. You haven't provided any other information about him, so just the fact that he's paid for sex work doesn't really mean anything. Like, he could be an asshole who objectifies women, or he could just enjoy sex and respect the women he paid as human beings. We don't know anything about him. It's up to you. Does it bother you? Are you against it? If so, leave now. If you think you can look past it, try that. As far as will he do it again? IDK maybe. Maybe not. This is one of those things where you need to decide for yourself what your boundaries are. My fiancé was with 2 sex workers after his marriage ended. Before we met, he said that after getting divorced he just wanted sex without the risk of emotional attachment and wasn't ready to date yet. I have no issue with this, and it doesn't make me think he disrespects women or would cheat on me. My friend, roommate, paid for sex. A lot. We'd go out to a bar or club. He'd disappear and we'd find him hours later at our apartment with 1, sometimes 2 sex workers. He then met this girl, not a sex worker, married her and never looked back. It's been more than a decade since. They have children now. I know for a fact that he's loyal and hasn't paid for sex since he met his now wife. So yeah, you make of it what you think. I mean, if he was single and hired providers safely and respectfully. Person shrugging. What did you mean by you found out? Found out how? Did he tell you? Paying for sex in the past doesn't necessarily indicate he'll do it again in the future. Thinking he'll do it again in the future implies that you think he may be a cheater because he paid for sex, which is not really how it works. In fact, you could take this opportunity to ask him why he chose to get their service instead of dating a woman. With that being said, I personally don't see myself with someone who paid for sex. Why? Because these guys' perception of sex doesn't match mine. Sex is a deeply spiritual and bonding activity for me. I couldn't have sex with just anyone. But the person who can buy sex probably sees it as just a physical and transactional act. Literally exchange of money and sex. I see it as a fundamental incompatibility, like whether or not you guys agree on having children or being religious. Edit. In fact, the sex is just sex mindset will make me more worried that he may cheat on me and not think much of it, more than the fact that he paid for sex. In one of your comments you said you're concerned he paid for sex but wants to have babies and one might be a girl. Does this mean you think he will encourage his daughter to be a sex worker? What is going on in your mind? I don't think there's anything wrong with paying for sex workers. I mean, if he was respectful towards them, he's supporting them directly, as long as he wasn't cheating. I'm genuinely wondering why you think this is an issue. I would not personally be in a relationship with somebody like this, but it is ultimately up to you. Only you can really answer that. But personally it would be a red flag for me. I'd walk away. Not compatible. Was he in a relationship when he paid for a sex worker? History of cheating is a problem. Paying for a sex worker is frowned upon by society, but there's actually nothing wrong with it. Assuming it was consensual, etc. I think it says something about his character and values, which could show up in other areas down the line. Since you guys have only dated 5 months anyways, I'd say get out now. Trust your gut feeling. It always have your answer. This is not a moral judgment on either sex workers or the people who employ them. But I personally would not be with a man who had hired sex workers multiple times. Not because I think there's anything morally wrong with it, provided everybody is of age, voluntary worker, not exploited, etc., 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 but because it reveals a difference in our attitudes about sex that I think would make us fundamentally incompatible. For me, sex has to be a part of a loving, authentic relationship, and I want to be with someone for whom that is also true. Full stop. I don't understand why people think that you're somehow a bad person for stigmatizing sex work. Listen, not all people like to have a lot of partners or like their partners to do that either. Do I respect sex workers? Yes. Would I pay for that service? Absolutely not. Would I disrespect anyone that has paid for, received payment for that? No. But TBH, I would politely excuse myself from that relationship. It doesn't align with my morals and gives me an icky feeling in my stomach. Some people have a problem with it, but that doesn't mean that it comes with disrespect for those people. Why don't you ask him how he feels about sex work? And maybe ask what prompted him to pay for a sex worker instead of just pursuing a hookup. Don't be judgy about it though. Everyone has a unique perspective on things like this. Give him a chance to explain his POV before you make snap judgments about how he views women as a whole. The only red flag I see here is that maybe he objectifies women. I think it can be hard to tell when guys just enjoy casual sex versus when they are objectifying women. So my question to figure this out is he respectful to you regarding your boundaries, physical affection, and sex? I feel like red flags related to misogyny can be spotted in close relationships and in intimate situations if people know what to look out for. If he is respectful of you, cares about not crossing boundaries, is a good listener, cares about your pleasure, etc., those are all green flags emo. Also, what's the difference in your opinion between him paying for sex versus pursuing it casually? With regards to there being a risk he'll do it again? Like, why would you be any more worried he'll pay for a sex worker in your relationship than you would be worried that he's just gonna cheat with someone else without paying? I don't see how him having sex with a sex worker when he was single indicates anything about his ability to be in a committed monogamous relationship. The only thing I would say is, get tested. Both of you, if you two are sexually active. Why would the fact he paid for sex mean he'd be unfaithful? Was the situation exploitive? Was it truly consensual? Does he intend to leave this in the past? Was he in a relationship at the time?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.